You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Cricket Podcast, where today we will be going over the opening day of the T20 World Cup. I don't think anybody could have asked for a better way of kicking off a world competition than with Oman and Papua New Guinea. I was certainly looking forward to that one. But yes, we will be going over the first two games and seeing what we thought about. Firstly the good game, and then Oman. I'm joined this evening by Ross Legg. How are you doing, Ross?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. It's almost like an anti-climax for a start of a World Cup, because we had like the IPL finish with such a buzz, and then this one is just like, right, it's the new World Cup, kind of what's going to happen. And then, as you say, it's Papua New Guinea, who haven't played for 16 months, versus Oman, who've been fine. So excited to talk about it.
Lovely. And we're also joined on the podcast this evening, or today, or whenever you're listening, by Ronan Alexander, creator of Scouting Cricket and very happy Scotsman, I believe.
Yeah, that was a very enjoyable game. It's a bit tense at times, but got there in the end. So yeah, buzzing with that.
Yeah, what a way to make a debut on the podcast as well. Turn up and your team has just caused the upset of the tournament so far, and we continue. It's the best game of the tournament, and that could be true for the rest of the tournament. We never know. We don't know.
True. Yeah, I was thinking at 53 for 6. I was like, oh, this is going to be.
I'll be honest. I wrote you off at that point. I was
Yeah.
I was thinking that we'll get this pod done at 5 o'clock and have a nice early evening. But yeah, we will very shortly get on to talking about all that fun. But before we do, Ross, messages for the listeners.
Yep, we are sponsored by Woodstock Cricket, as you can see on the lovely banner that Max has created, and you can enjoy Max's new little T20 logo in the middle of the screen, which is fantastic. Max, you always deliver. Follow us at the Cricket Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and if you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe to our channel and video, and if you're following us on podcast, leave us a review because we will read it out. And Jack normally does the Patreon thing, but we've had 5 new Patreons in the last kind of 48 hours, so thank you very much for that. And that is patreon.com/the Cricket Pod. Let's get going, shall we, Max?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I said, starting with Scotland v Bangladesh, and Bangladesh won the toss, putting Scotland in with theoretically the potential bonus of chasing on what might be a dewy evening in Oman. And at first, it looked like it wouldn't be very much for Bangladesh to chase, as Scotland got off to a fairly slow start. I don't know if they were just sort of adjusting to conditions or sort of adjusting to the pace of Taskin Ahmed, but either way, things weren't looking too hot, although George Munsey did then release the shackles and start getting a bit of momentum into the innings. But once he fell, it all kind of fell apart. And Scotland were very quickly reduced to 53 for 6 at the hands of Shakib Al Hassan, the leading wicket taker in T20 internationals now, and Mehdi Hassan. And as I said, at this point, I'd completely written Scotland off. So I'll hold my hands up to being completely wrong, because what an innings it was from Chris Greaves to, it was a counter-attacking performance that I think Jurgen Klopp would be proud of. They could easily have just sort of sat in and gone, right, we need to make the most of our 120 balls and, make sure we don't get too hit on net run rate. But no, just went for it, absolutely went for it, and made a reasonably competitive score in the end, and something to bowl at. And it looks like being a pretty good score by the time Bangladesh got going, because they were very quickly 2 wickets down themselves. And struggling behind the rate. Neither Shakib or Mushfiqur Rahim could get going, plodding along a runner ball, and Bangladesh were behind the rate for a little while. And obviously, once it looked like Bangladesh might be chasing it, there was only one man on the pitch who was going to change the game once again on the back of the IPL. And I'm still getting used to everything not being a Vivo perfect catch of the match or a Dream 11 game changer. But if there is one Dream 11 game changer of this match, it is Chris Greaves, who took 2 wickets of the wickets of Shakib and Mushfiqur Rahim to really put the first nail in the coffin, and the rest really was history. It was almost a taste at the end of a potential bottle, almost a waist high no ball in the last over that went for 6 that could have put the cat amongst the pigeons, but as it was far too much for Bangladesh to do at the end. And wow, a cracking victory for Scotland. I don't did you think your boys had it in you, Ronan?
Not really. At 53 for 6, I thought we were quite long gone. It would have taken a lot to get up to like a 130 score, and they managed to get the kind of best case scenario from the position they were in, because I think especially recently it's mainly been Munsey and Berrington who've been the main informed batters, and then I think Cross in the last T20 got in the last warm-up game got a 50 as well, so they've been only main 2 firing, and then when they were out thought, yeah, we're going to be like 80 all out here and it's going to be embarrassing after all the build-up. But no, it is that reverse sweep from Greaves that went for 6 that kind of swung the game and kind of set the tone a bit and sparked a bit of life back into Scotland again. So it was, yeah, can't fault it.
Yeah, that was the probably about the one successful sweep of the day at that point, wasn't it? After the people preceding him had all swept their way to their own doom, I think. It
was a little bit like watching England when Akshar Patel just kept on rolling through them, because the ball wasn't really turning, was it? They had literally they brought on some slow bowlers, and then the Scottish batsmen were just like, you know what, we're gonna go after this. We're gonna do it this way. And unfortunately, they were just like playing for turn maybe, and it was just kind of skidding on through.
Yeah, I don't think that was necessarily the wrong call either. Like you say, it wasn't turning. The balls were, they were there in the arc. They were there to be got at. For me, it just the execution wasn't there and couldn't clear the ropes. But we saw exactly the same from Bangladesh in the end. So maybe there was a pitch aspect to it, but to me it looked fine. I don't know what you two made of it, but to me it looked like a perfectly reasonable pitch. And
Bangladesh don't have an excuse. They were turned over by the better team today. There is no way they could at that pitch and go, well, we're going to blame this. What I found really interesting was just kind of the build up to it, and Carl Kurtz has been right alongside everything to do with Scottish cricket as far as I can remember. And today it kind of looked like the occasion kind of got to him a little bit. There was a bit at the start where he was just wanting to absolutely hammer any ball that kind of came to him, and unfortunately just couldn't really lay bat on ball and was subsequently bowled by Safadine. And I kind of was worried for you then, Ronan. I was a bit this if one of your best players can't hit the ball off the square, like what's going to happen for the rest of them? And yeah, as you say, when it was 2 wickets down, 3 wickets down, 4 wickets down, it was just oh no, this is going to get embarrassing in a minute. But when Chris Greaves was interviewed, he didn't sound too Scottish, which I found a little bit weird.
I think he played a bit of cricket in South Africa for a while, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. I'm not sure where he's born, so I don't know if he's born in Scotland. Maybe that's where it comes from.
But I genuinely thought it was a really, really strong performance in the end by Scotland on that batting front. I mean, that's the beauty of T20, right? You can kind of start out relatively, so you just don't know which way it's going to go. And Greaves and Watt actually batted really well together. I think it was it Davey at the end, and is it Sharif? I think it's Sharif came in. And if you hit 8 off 2 balls, you've done your job as a number 10.
Yeah, I think Scotland have quite a fair bit of batting depth about them. Like Sharif could bat possibly as high as 8. So to have him at 10 kind of shows that they kind of bat pretty much all the way down, which proved to be useful in a game like that. When the top order fails, you can still have a bit of reliability in the guys lower down to do a job for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I suppose with that knowledge of having a reasonably long batting line, I mean, it gives the guys above you the confidence to go out and attack. And if it doesn't come off, it doesn't matter because you've got a bit of an insurance policy. But that's sort of I guess in the mould of how England have sort of approached T20 cricket in the last few years of if everyone goes in and scores 20 off 10, then you've done pretty well. And so if that's sort of the approach that Scotland are going to take, then I think we could be looking at quite an interesting tournament for them. And well, with Bangladesh beaten, surely favourites to certainly to go through and maybe even top the group now.
Hope so. Well, what I was interested in was the approach that Bangladesh kind of took with their bowling lineup. I thought them kind of coming in, I thought that we saw in the IPL kind of how effective spin was in the power play. And especially it's like Shakib Al Hassan was bowling quite a lot in the power play for KKR. So it was interesting to see them take a very different approach. And on the commentary, they were talking around, maybe they're not doing it because of the matchup against George Munsey. And this is no disrespect to George Munsey, no disrespect to Scotland. But if you're Shakib Al Hassan and you're a guy who is the leading wicket taker in T20 international history, surely you've got to be putting your hand up and going, do you know what? No, I'll bowl in here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he would be the kind of man to step up as well. Although I think that with Munsey's reverse sweeps, I thought after the power play, when the spinners did come on, they set the field really well to Munsey. I think they went with like the deep kind of backwardish point pretty much straight away to take that out the game. And then obviously he got bold to try to play a conventional sort of slog sweep kind of shot. So they kind of covered their bases with kind of playing to Munsey's strength so he couldn't get at the spinners. But yeah, in the power play as well, I would have thought that I expected Al Hassan to open up like he did with KKR.
Yeah.
And I think the MCC coaching manual's got George Munsey's shot down as ugly hoik. I think. But I was surprised as well that Shakib didn't come onto bowl earlier, because Bangladesh actually as a team kind of remind me a bit of KKR in sort of how they approach the latter sort of stages of the IPL, with kind of tying people up with spin, not necessarily having middle order hitters. I don't think Bangladesh are really blessed with anyone who's going to go and crash the ball around. So they sort of are also reliant, a bit like KKR, on trying to tie the opposition down with that sort of slow bowling approach. So I did. Once it got to 140, I did worry for them from that point of view. Did anybody want to raise any other points on the Scotland innings, or should we switch over to the chase?
I thought they dealt relatively well with the Fizz. Like the Fizz is not a good IPL bowler, right? It would be very surprising if he doesn't get picked up. He's played most of the games this year for the Rajasthan Royals, and just some of his bowling is fantastic. I think was it an opening maiden? I think it might be a wicket maiden, and then they just plundered him the next over. Went for 32 of his next three. And I thought actually dealing with someone like that should be a big confidence boost to the batting lineup of Scotland. And when they come up against the other teams in the group, they should be going in it with we can take anyone down here. So I thought it was a good thing to balance it off. When it came to Bangladesh's innings, like straight out of the blocks, you saw Scotland were up for it. And I'm not sure if it was kind of complacency from Bangladesh, like kind of going into a game that, actually, we're going to win here. So it's an emerging nation kind of thing. But I thought it was great. Brad Wheel up front, Josh Davey up front. It was a really strong opening setup, actually. Very impressed.
Yeah, I think Scotland have a lot of they're able to kind of vary their attack with who bowls when, because Mark Watt can bowl all three phases and he was brilliant again today. It baffles me that he doesn't play county cricket in all three formats. I think that might change next summer.
Everyone loves left arm darts in T20 cricket.
Yeah, they do. So I think he'll be snapped up. Certainly for the Blast anyway, that's for sure. But yeah, Wheel, obviously he kind of was really good for London Spirit as well as a kind of top and tail bowler for them. And he's done the same with Scotland, and he was really good as well.
Yeah, I think I was really impressed with how he held his nerve at the end as well, actually, after he got hit for that pretty big six and followed that up with the perfect Yorker. I think that was a really good sign from my point of view that there's something about the Scotland bowling attack. But I mean, Bangladesh's batting, just the approach baffled me. I don't know what really happened. They just never really tried to score the runs they needed to score. From what I could tell, it was a bit odd. I think I mean, you're absolutely right about Scotland coming out of the trap straight away and looking fired up. And I think, well, how that innings ended has probably got a lot to do with that. You know, you've gone from being in a position where you think, yeah, you're out the game, to actually having a competitive total. And I think maybe the same thing happened to Bangladesh. I think maybe they were a bit shell-shocked. Perhaps the complacency for them came at 53 for 6 and suddenly didn't know what hit them.
Game of two halves. What I did enjoy as well was the fact that Chris Greaves came on like a part-time bowler and then bowled the biggest part-time delivery to open up this short rank long hop straight up in the air, and a good catch on the boundary. But it was at one of those moments I was just like, this is proper World Cup cricket now. They were just literally the part-timer drags it. Brilliant piece of cricket. So I think when it comes to the rest of their lineup, so they just couldn't really find the boundary. And I think some of the fielding on both sides wasn't actually particularly good. Kyle Kurtzer had a nightmare in the field.
Yeah, there was one over, the ball kept following him.
If he turns around, now he's got 7 ball duck. He was probably -6 in the field, potentially, maybe -4 if we're being generous. I think did he get a catch in the end? Maybe no, I don't think he did. So there was a horrible day for him, and yet he comes away as a World Cup World Cup opening game captain win. So I'm sure he'll be over the moon at that. When it comes to the bowling lineup, anyway, as you said, Mark Watt was really impressive, and actually I thought once they'd got the breakthrough, and once they were they fell to about 11 and over behind the rate. They kind of had to go for it, and actually the Oman pitch didn't seem as small as kind of it was being reported.
No, the boundaries were quite
70-meter boundary, but no one could find it.
There were some great catches, and I thought, it was just a solid performance. And what do you think we're gonna? Do you reckon you'll keep this team? Is this your best 11 that you're going to go with, Ronan? And is this like the thing that we can get used to seeing, or is there someone that's going to come in from the sidelines and be like, actually, no, this is what we're going to go with?
I think the only kind of change they might force is rotating Sharif along with Ali Evans, because they're both quite similar type of players. Evans, I think his record in the power play is really good, so could see him coming for Sharif. That would probably be the only kind of change I'd expect them to make, because the other kind of players they've got on the fringes, like Dylan Budge, he would bat 6 bowls kind of part-time seam, but I don't think they'll make any changes. Craig Wallace as well as a wicket keeper, but I think Matthew Cross place in the team is pretty much cemented. Hamza Tahir is probably quite unlucky to miss out. He's been a really good sort of defensive left arm spinner. But I think Wisk and Greaves get in the team ahead of him, and obviously Watt's the kind of the leader of the attack. But then because Greaves and Wisk offer something with a bat, whereas Hamza's a number 11, that kind of puts them in the place ahead of him, because they're a different type of bowler than Watt. Because if you play Hamza and Mark Watt, you've got 2 slow left armers, although they are different. Yeah. But we're having Greaves as a leg spinner, and then Michael Wisk with off break as well gives you every spinner that you need in the attack. But I think Wisk is a real sort of matchup bowler. I think his record against left-handers is really good, but against right-handers it isn't so great. I think I saw a stat on Twitter. I think his economy rate against right-handers is 5.82 more than against left-handers. And then for the first over, when Mushfiqur was facing him, I was like, he's going to get smashed in the stands here. And it took him 9 balls of Wisk bowling well. And then eventually Mushfiqur went 6-6-2, and then it took him off. So I was like, well, but yeah, so the kind of balance of the attack's really good. And I think the team's relatively settled. They did change the team a lot in the kind of 50 over stuff where they played in Oman before the tournament, and then the warm-up games, I think. And the Zimbabwe series we played as well before the tournament. They rotated the seamers a lot, rotated the spinners, so everyone got games just to kind of find the best attack. The batting lineup was pretty much settled, other than Ollie Hare's got injured. He's a number 3 that's kind of proper power hitter. Yeah. It's sort of 6s, especially against spin. But he got injured. So other than that, the batting lineup's been pretty settled. But I think now that Davey and Wheel have came into the team, it's kind of solidified the team. I don't think it will change overly much.
Yeah, it seems to me since so in 2019 in the qualifying stage, it was a little bit tight in terms of making it through. Sort of losing, well, in the group where Papua New Guinea winning the group somehow from what God, I'm very confused about how that happened after watching today's cricket, and losing to Singapore, was it in the first game? Is there a sense that Scotland have really come on in the last 2 years and sort of developed the game, or did we just see a slightly under par Scotland in 2019?
Possibly, yeah. I kind of vaguely remember the start to that tournament. It was a bit of a slow start, but then eventually when they got going, they managed to just scrape over the line in the end. But I think now there just seems to be a real good kind of feel-good factor about cricket in the country, and kind of everyone can see the kind of brand of cricket that they're trying to play. Like you see, although Weish's dismissal today was pretty soft, he's came in, we've just lost a wicket, we're 4 down. He's came in second ball and he's like, I'm just going to hit this for 6. But gets caught in the boundary. It doesn't look great, but that's kind of the attitude that they have, is that they want to play attacking cricket and be positive. And today's kind of something that they've been leading up to for a long time, especially after that England win in 2018. Not really had many chances to get another opportunity for a game like that, because they've hardly had the chance to play any cricket against full member nations until today, and they've won again. So
yeah, I like the intent, right? I'd much rather see Scotland get bowled out for 70 actually going for it than get to like meek out 100 runs, because actually they'll lose either way. Like today, they had to go for it and it paid off big time, right? Their approach was vindicated today, and hopefully we see that throughout the rest of the tournament. Bangladesh, though, Max, worrying for them, really. I mean, there was a lot of little paddle sweeps, a lot of little scoops that they didn't really execute. And I think you're right. They don't have a lot of power in this lineup, but they are definitely missing Tame Iqbal at the top of the order.
Yeah. Him recusing himself from international duty was a weird one. I mean, even his strike rate in T20s isn't huge, but it's it's a little more than some of the rest of them. I think you're looking. I don't think there's any of the batsmen whose strike rate is above 130 in that Bangladesh team, and that's not going to get you very far in T20 cricket, is it? If you're coming up against teams who are regularly posting 180 plus, you're in a whole lot of trouble before you've even started. So I think that is definitely a concern for Bangladesh. I'm a little worried for them now, having seen today and having seen the way. I mean, I know it was only a Papua New Guinea side who haven't played cricket in yonks, but Oman looked pretty impressive themselves at times. So that's going to be by no means a walkover for them. So I think there needs to be a sort of a little look at how Bangladesh, whether it's the approach or just the players, whether it's just sort of need to shake that up, because I mean. They're a decent side normally.
It's interesting, right? Their approach has been like they rolled out a couple of sand pits to play New Zealand and Australia on, and then rolled them out for like 70 or something.
Well, that probably doesn't help, does it? No, that doesn't really. And
it's okay. Like their approach of, right, we'll try and bowl first, restrict them to kind of 120, and then we'll chase it down. And that's kind of like not really the way you play T20 cricket kind of anymore. And I know you have to do what you do with the resources you have available to them, but I don't think you can turn around. Bangladesh have been a member nation for quite a while now, and they've had like some decent players come through. I mean, Shakib Al Hasan is a genuinely really good player, but is he blockbuster T20 batting material? No, saw it today. Can't really go after any bowlers and take them down. So I think you're right, Max. They'll be close to games now, but this is definitely a wake up call for them. So but all the best to Scotland. I mean, it'd be great for them to go through. It would be heartbreaking if they lost the next 2 games. So Ronan, hopefully
it would be the most Scottish thing ever, though. So.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the one to say that. I thought I'd leave that to you.
So let's try and wrap this up in the next 5 minutes by talking about Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea were obliterated by Oman today.
Yes. it started badly, it continued to go badly, and it ended badly. It was a brief ray of sunshine in the middle, but yeah, 0 for 2 after 8 balls isn't really isn't where you want to be in the start of the World Cup. But that said, actually, the captain Asad Valor and Charles Amini put on a pretty good stand for the third wicket and sort of actually got them back to a platform. Sort of, I think they were about 100 odd. They were 102 in the 14th over, which that's not bad. With 6 overs to go, you'd be looking at it might even get up to 150, which from the start they had would be a cracking effort. But unfortunately, Charles Amini decided to run himself out. And
that was quite funny. And comedy run out is what you want to see first game of the tournament.
Yeah, and the rest of it sort of went from there. And it wasn't like hitting out and getting caught on the boundary like we saw in the evening or afternoon game. It was much more just sort of lazy prods and missing the ball, and it was really really poor from Papua New Guinea. But the decision of Oman's captain, Zusam Maksud, to bowl himself for 4 overs like he normally does, completely warranted today with his excellent figures of 4 for 20 off his 4 overs. So well done him. But 129 never looked like a particularly imposing target. And so it proved, because Oman absolutely obliterated them with the chase, winning by 10 wickets inside 14 overs. So that'll be, that's cracking for the net run rate. That's sort of pretty much half a point already, I think. I don't think that's going to take some overhauling, although I dare say some of the other sides might fancy their chances at plundering some net run rate against Papua New Guinea if they play like that again.
Ronan, what did you think of them?
Well, they gave Scotland a scare in the 50 over comp a few weeks ago, so they can play a bit PNG. But today, the start kind of set the tone. Other than that partnership, it was a complete disaster basically. But I mean, Oman I think they're a side that shouldn't really be taken lightly. I think they've got a pretty solid outfit. They're doing really well in the 50 over like Cricket World Cup League 2. I think they're top of that, although Scotland have a lot of games in hand. But when they played against Scotland recently, I didn't manage to catch the Oman innings today, so I would ask you, because I didn't see it, Jatinder Singh, who got 73 not out, did he just play loads of scoop shots?
He played the most brilliant like reverse sweep for 6 at one stage.
Yeah, because when he played us in the 50 overs, he just kept reverse sweeping and scooping everything.
Yeah, he was class. I was really impressed with Oman's batting and actually the way they approached the chase, because it would be, again, really easy to come out and be like, yeah, we'll just, we'll knock these off, we'll play safe, we'll make sure we win. But no, they were like, no, we're gonna crush this.
Yeah, they played it properly. Again, it was a side who were just like, no, we know how to play T20 cricket. Like, if we're going to maximise the resources we have available to us, and they absolutely nailed it today. And I think you're right, Ronan, to not going to take this Oman side lightly. I was impressed up front by Bilal Khan. He kind of waddles in like a duck, which is quite fun, and then kind of releases the kind of these left armers, which is moving around a little bit. And yeah, I thought the captain was actually really quite impressive when it came to his bowling. I mean, if you take 4 wickets in any cricket, you're kind of writing home and phoning your mum afterwards. I mean, this kind of occasion, opening game, absolutely fantastic. But yeah, Papua New Guinea, a lot to work on. And,
didn't get to see any fireworks from your man Norman Vanua Ross, who I think you highlighted as potential.
Yeah, I think it's just I just like the name sometimes. Anyone who's called Norman is they're going to be good value, aren't they?
Yeah. Norman and Charles.
But the big turning point was that run out, and just unfortunately, it's what happens, right? In top level cricket, you get punished for that kind of stuff, and it's amazing how much that just completely took the wind out of their sails. But yeah, Oman, they will take up some beating. I think they've got they might not have all of the talent in the world, but if they continue to play like that, then they should be. They might well beat Bangladesh and dump them out of the competition.
Yeah, Scotland and Oman to go through. That'd be great. I think I think Oman, for me, yeah, they look pretty good. Certainly at this level of cricket. Where I would be maybe concerned for them if they were to get through into the Super 12s would be in terms of their bowling. I think possibly a little lack of pace from the seamers might be a little bit of fodder for some of the more elite batsmen in the competition. But
Mohammed Nadeem was a pie chucker. Like coming in like I'm backing all three of us to take him down.
Is it something? Is it something about the name Nadeem?
Yeah, it could well be. Yeah.
Pie Deem. Yeah. But I mean, for Scotland, Ronan. I mean, how do you think they would, if assuming they got through, how do you think they would fare against some of the full member sides? Would you back them to spring an upset or two?
I think so, yeah, just because they play with that kind of fearless edge about their game that they want to be playing these games. So it's not like they're kind of fearing these nations now and thinking, we could easily get rolled for 70, like, well, they almost did today. But I think they kind of play with that kind of different edge around them now. So I think they really want to prove themselves in that and cause some more upsets, especially after today. Because I think today's game was kind of a free hit as long as you beat Oman and PNG, which is easier said than done, obviously. But the fact they've came through with that's kind of set the tone. So hopefully they can just kick on from it.
Yeah. Nice. And if they do spring an upset, we all know who it's going to be.
Ireland. Well, Ronan, thank you ever so much for joining. I don't think we need to talk about Papua New Guinea getting obliterated any longer, but we'll hopefully have you back on the show throughout Scotland's inevitable victory of the entire World Cup. Very much look forward to that. And Max, I'm not sure when we're back next, but it'll be in the next kind of couple of days. I don't think we're going to do a daily show because
no, I don't think so. I'm quite busy this week as well, so don't want to commit to too much.
It's not to say that we don't care about Namibia playing Netherlands, but we might not rush to cover it.
Yeah, well, it's so tomorrow is Ireland, Netherlands, and Sri Lanka, Namibia. So that'll be. I mean, that's the group of death getting underway. I'm really interested to see how that goes actually. I will certainly be tuning into that. But yeah, no, looking good. Scotland up against Papua New Guinea next on Tuesday. So yeah, by Tuesday afternoon they might be home and hosed. Who knows? But yeah, and until then, I think last thing will probably be again, thank you for joining us, Ronan. Do you want to let people know where they can find you on what various channels that you're on?
Yeah, so thanks obviously for having me. It's been good to talk about that win. I've enjoyed it. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I run an account at Scouting Cricket. So it focuses on players aged 24 or under. So there's podcast, website, and just various tweets and bit of analytical kind of stuff there. If that's the type of thing you're into, trying to kind of find some left field younger players that are coming through that are quite exciting. So we also have like a magazine as well, if anyone wanted to purchase one of those, and we also have like a weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday, so I better type that up shortly.
Nice, yeah. Well, we're all fans of the data side of things, the big data revolution that's coming to cricket. We're pushing that, so yeah, hopefully a few of our listeners will be keen for that as well. But yeah,
brilliant. Right, let's wrap it up. Thanks everyone for listening. Goodbye.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.